Greetings, team. How are you? Welcome to another episode of Badass Unscripted. I want to talk to you today about the difference between planning and preparation. In agility, we strive to minimize upfront planning. That does not mean eliminating planning. It does mean continuous distributed planning throughout the cycle. We plan a little, we do a little, we replan, we adjust the plan. Repeat. A lot of people don't get that. A lot of people either want to eliminate all the planning in all cases and all places, or they can't let go of the temptation to overplan in those places. So when the bi-weekly sprint planning meeting goes for a day and a half, there's a good chance you're doing it wrong. Conversely, if you spend 3 months planning before you execute, you are also doing it wrong. Let's apply this to the entrepreneurial space. Let's imagine you want to open a business. You've wanted to be a tennis instructor for your entire life. This is what you want to do, so you decide you're going to go for it. Can you start a tennis coaching business iteratively? Of course you can. You can begin with a couple of core videos. The forehand, the backhand, the serve. Those will be your first 3 videos. Later, you're going to talk about stance, and I know nothing about tennis, by the way, so I'm currently making up everything that I'm telling you, which raises a point. I can only go so far, not knowing what I'm doing, and still deliver quality things of value. So now we're back to the argument. Oh, okay, so wait. In order to run this business, you need to go out and do tennis for 6 years. Then come back, then you can open your tennis coaching business. Well, I mean, the hope is you're not completely inexperienced. Otherwise, why would you start with a tennis coaching business? But, you don't have to be perfect. What you do have to be is spending most of your quality time developing your craft, practicing, preparing. And not only in the game of tennis, but in the skill of coaching tennis. So you should be coaching real people in real situations, watching matches, observing, giving people different experiments to try, measuring the outcomes. That's the practice of coaching tennis. Planning means you're going to come up with a step-by-step plan that is effectively a prediction of future events. First you'll do this, then you'll do that. And on Wednesday you'll try this, and 2 weeks later you'll do that. That kind of planning gets invalidated the minute anything in your landscape changes. So day 1, you're going to go get a business loan. Day 2, you're going to go spend a whole bunch of money on cameras. What if you don't get the business loan? Then everything you were going to do on day 2 changes. If you want to execute in a way that demolishes your competition, though, if you want to be the best, so good that nobody can catch you, if you want to be the expert, if you want to be the world champion, no matter what your endeavor is, whether it's Agile in the team room doing code, whether it's Agile for entrepreneurs and small businesses, whether it's Agile in HR, Agile for marketing, Agile for sales, Agile for operations, it doesn't matter. You have to practice and continually prepare. Now, practicing means time in. You got to play the game, make the swing, observe, inspect, and adapt. Preparation is something different. To my mind, preparation means being ready for any circumstance or outcome. It means asking yourself tactical questions like, what would I do if somebody entered the coaching marketplace at the same time I do, but they're world famous, they're way better than I am? How would you pivot? How would you adjust? How would you adapt? Would you quit? Or would you come up with a new strategy to refocus, retarget? Maybe you could compete on price. Maybe your magic power is not that you're the best tennis player in the world, but you can help other people get results in 1/4 the time. So how will you prepare for changes? How will you prepare for contingencies and disasters? Alternate path planning is actually really important. That doesn't mean you have to deep dive and document every single permutation and possibility, but you do at least have to think about it. I'm going to start a podcast. Okay, cool. I'm going to need 2 video cameras and 3 guest microphones. All right, what happens if your camera gets held up in customs as you're traveling to do an interview and one of your mics blows up and you have 4 guests, not 3? What would you do? What would you do if your first camera blows up and then your second camera blows up? Do you have a plan? Do you know what you would do? Do you know what your options are? Do you know what possibilities you could execute? And are you practiced in doing them so you don't spend all this time fidgeting with buttons and options and menus? You could just go to town and get working. Would you use your iPhone and just film it, pop it on a tripod? Do you have a tripod? Do you bring it with you? Do you have a mount for your iPhone? Do you know how to set up a shot and test it and record it? Which way looks better, portrait or landscape? This is what makes a team nimble. This is what makes a team fluid and agile and adaptable. Do you get it? It's less about preparation and precise planning. It's more about, when I used to see in the project management days, the best part of any planning document was the risks and contingency section. So here we are, we have this investment, we want this result. Here's what we would do if things go wrong. And it was always very detailed, but nobody ever paid attention to it once it was written. Do you remember that? You have all of these things written and planned for, but one of two things happen. Either you didn't follow the procedure, you didn't think out the real world impacts of following that procedure before you wrote it down and got it signed off, or the problems that end up occurring are not the ones that you planned for. What would happen if we ran out of resources? What would happen if our key developer quit? Those are the things that were in every document, but they're one of the things that was least likely to happen. The real stuff that happens week in and week out, day in and day out, is what if I promise something for the 30th of the month, but we can't get a vendor to sign an agreement until the middle of the following month? How would we work around that? What will we do? That's the kind of planning and preparation that I want you to focus on. Great teams don't spend all their time and energy planning. They spend their time doing two things: executing, getting out there, getting the job done, being first to market, hitting home runs, and preparing. Preparing for the competition, preparing for the unknown, preparing for disaster, preparing for trouble, preparing for unexpected failures. That's where I want you to spend your time. Reach out, guys. Let me know what you think. You can find me at badassagile.com. Reach out on Twitter at badass_agile or on Instagram at badassagile. I love you because you're crazy. I look forward to next time. And until then, stay badass.